Staying on the story of the once celebrated Super Cop Abba Kyari, who is now in NDLEA custody with 4 other suspects over his involvement in a 25 kilograms cocaine deal. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has also revealed how suspended police officer DCP Abba Kyari offered undercover NDLEA officers the sum of $61,400. The NDLEA, in a statement by its spokesperson, Femi, gave the names of the suspects as DCP Abba Kyari, ACP Sunday J. Obwa, ASP Bawa James, Inspector Simon Agirigba, and Inspector John Nuhu, who were driven into the national headquarters of NDLEA in Abuja at about 5 p.m. yesterday. They will now be interrogated by NDLEA and further investigated. The agency assures that no stone will be left unturned to ensure that all suspects are ready in custody, and those that may still be indicted in the course of investigation will face the full weight of the law at the end of the ongoing probe. In a sting operation by the NDLEA, Abba Kyari, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, who was suspended from duty after the United States named him an indictment involving Ramon Abbas, also known as Hush Puppy, was declared wanted by the NDLEA. He was suspected of being a member of an unnamed drug cartel. The agency says, following intelligence, it believes strongly that DCP Abba Kyari belongs to a drug cartel. We now bring you the earlier clips of the operation, which shows the suspended DCP in the car, wired with sound and video recorders.
But one is not.
Suspension by the Police Service Commission, Mr. Kyari was the officer in charge of the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team.
7:05 a.m. on Monday, January 24, after the agency gave the officer the green light to clear along, he and Kyari began a WhatsApp call for the rest of the day. The officer conveyed their willingness, in quotes, to play the game. At this point, Kyari disclosed that the 15 kilograms already taken out was shared between the informants that provided the information for the seizure and himself, as well as his men of the IRT of the Nigerian police. And arrested some traffickers that came into the country from Ethiopia with, according to him, 25 kilograms of cocaine. He proposed a drug deal where he and his team are to take 15 kilograms of the cocaine and leave the 10 kilograms for the prosecution of the suspects arrested with the illicit drug in Enugu.
And let's now bring you a timeline of Abba Kyari's activities before, during, and after his suspension. The report.
Anti-drug agency continues with her investigation. The big question on the minds of many is how the suspended Assistant Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, still meddled in the operations of the force, even when being investigated for previous allegation. A preliminary finding of the police also indicted NDLEA operatives at the Akano Ibiam Airport in Enugu, where the drug couriers were arrested. The report indicated that some personnel of NDLEA are on the payroll of the suspects, who facilitate their easy clearance at the airport. But let us remind you that ACP Kyari is not new to being investigated over abuse of office. In July 2021, a report by the United States Federal Bureau of Intelligence linked Abba Kyari to an international fraudster, Hush Puppy, who is on the trial. In August same year, Nigeria's Inspector General of Police suspended Mr. Kyari from the force to allow for unhindered investigation. Then 3 months after, rumors made the rounds that the suspended officer has been cleared and will soon resume duty, a report that was debunked by the force. And in December 2021, the IGP submitted investigation report to the Police Service Commission, while the nation battles to reconcile the disturbing image of a police officer aiding high-profile crime with Mr. Kyari's exemplary record As one of Nigeria's top officers, pictures emerged on the social media where the once upon a time super cop posed with people of shady characters. On the 7th of February, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, says reasonable grounds for suspicion have been established against Mr. Kyari, indicating that government is considering extradition. And then on Monday, 14th of February, NDLEA declared him wanted in connection with drug deal.
And legal practitioner Monday Ubani joins me now to discuss this. He joins me via Zoom. Good to have you join us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
So we understand that all of this happened, if you listen to the statement of Femi Baba Femi, the spokesperson of the NDLEA, this happened while in January, and he was already on suspension, and I mean DCP Abba Kyari was already on suspension from last year, which means that even while he was on suspension, he was still getting involved in terms of security work, if you call it that. I just wanted to, I mean, you're a legal practitioner, wearing your legal hat. What does this tell you?
Yeah, I must tell you that I'm totally shocked at this piece of news, clearly now in the East. And of course, you know that network in the East is very, very poor. It was yesterday that I spoke to one very senior lawyer in Lagos, and he now referred me to the trending news that Abba Kyari has been arrested. I said, for what? And he now made mention of drug. So I was able to go through the social media, and I must tell you that I'm totally flabbergasted. I'm shocked, you know, at this piece of news. You know, what wasn't clear to me at that time was, when did this particular sting operation, when did it take place? When did this particular crime, when was it committed? Did he commit it while he was on suspension or while he was still serving as a police officer? From proper news that I have just heard from your esteemed television, it appears that this particular crime was committed while he was on suspension, and that is clearly very surprising and shocking. How could he, who is clearly on suspension, be meddling with police activities? It doesn't mean that he was at that point above the law, or he was not observing the suspension that was placed on him. It's something that is not very clear. And so the authorities also need some explanation here. How did he get involved in doing police activities while he was on suspension? And that suspension was announced in the entire world. That means that probably they were not right with, or they were not probably disclosing the whole facts, you know, to us as Nigerians. You know. So it's shocking to me, to say the least.
All right, so let's look at this, because we also know that he was on a previous investigation by the Police Service Commission over his links with Hush Puppy, who is now a convicted criminal in the United States. But there was a panel that is not, or the panel that had concluded a particular investigation. Another panel is to be set up. We know that in cases like this, for example, we've seen cases in the US where someone is accused of a particular crime, and one victim says, oh, I was a victim of this, and then there is a burden of proof on the panel to prove that this is wrong, or this is true, or this is not true. But when you have more victims saying, it also happened to me, it becomes more of a burden of liability, and then they say, okay, you have to leave office. Usually that's the case. For you, this new revelation, what do you think it will portend for the ongoing investigation of his links to Hush Puppy?
Well, when there are multiple incidents linking to a person, I'm talking about a crime here and there, and it becomes obvious that this person is clearly involved in these things, even though he has not been convicted in the court. It gives you an inescapable conclusion that this person's record has clearly been tarnished. And what a way to actually destroy or terminate a rising profile of this young man that every person was looking at. You mentioned social media. If you see the Nigerians that are following Abba Kyari on social media, I was one of his admirers. So many Nigerians are part of his ardent admirers. And so we are still in shock, to learn that he was even involved with a Hush Puppy, who happens to be a notorious 419er. And then now, to cap it all, you are now, linking Abba Kyari now to crime involving drug deal, a police officer. To me, I don't know how he's going to escape from this. I don't know how he's going to have his reputation intact after all these investigations have been done. But linking one person to several crimes, leads you to one inescapable conclusion that there is something about him that we need to really unravel, and that is actually what is going on. And now the police is still going on with the investigation. I mean, they're starting all over again to investigate him. Now we have this drugs thing and all that, and then the Americans have asked for him to be extradited. That has not been done and all that too. There are many issues surrounding Abba Kyari in this matter that I don't think him at this point.
Absolutely, so many issues. I have a few minutes left, but I just have a lot of questions, because this is a lot for Nigerians to grapple with. Like you said, he was a very respected police officer. But let's look at the fact that there is a case in the US and there is a case in Nigeria. Which of these cases will take preeminence, because there is direct call for him to be extradited to the US? And I also want to ask you, because people are now saying most of the cases he handled should be reinvestigated. All of those cases should be opened again and reinvestigated, just to ensure that there was justice served in those cases. Two questions in one, if you can quickly answer.
Yes, it's obvious that the first one, prevails. America has asked for him to come and answer some of the questions. They are demanding answers, but non-government has not complied with their request. Now that this particular offense now has been allegedly committed, I'm talking about the issue of drug deal. So I think that the first one that has to do with hush puppy has to be, cleared first before the Nigerian. But I think people are also, probably speculating that the Nigerians may want to use this drug particular offense now to keep him here in Nigeria, so that he will not in any way face his day in court in US, and that's what they want to do now. Maybe have him here convicted, and then if America makes a request, he's serving a jail sentence here in Nigeria, and there is no reason for him to be taken abroad. That is, if you look at the social media, a lot of Nigerians are reacting in that regard. In fact, they don't even believe that this particular drug deal is a criminal or that has committed any offense, that this may have been prearranged in order to keep him back here in Nigeria so he doesn't face the trial in America. That is what many Nigerians, but I don't think Nigerian government will get involved in such a deal, that I consider not too clean, I think if you ask me with hush puppy, then you're not talking, legally speaking, the first the time prevails.
All right. My time is up, but there was a question about whether you think the cases should be whether you think the cases should be reopened, because that's the call now, that most of those cases he handled should be reinvestigated to ensure justice was served.
Yes, I think also, if it's true that all the matters he has handled has come to the level where people are making complaints, I'm talking about the petitioners and even probably the accused and all that, then I think also that there must be a way of looking at those issues. And unfortunately, he was one that investigated the most notorious kidnapper, and that is a van that is undergoing trial. And of course, there was an issue there. There were complaints that some properties were confiscated. There are so many issues. There are so many allegations that have died down before now concerning Abba Kyari. So in the light of all these revelations, I don't see anything wrong in probably reopening most of these cases to see that justice is done. That is my own personal opinion.
Thank you so much for your thought on this. Thank you for talking to us, legal practitioner Dr. Monday Ubani.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.